Oh, is everybody glad today is Friday? Like I enjoyed everyone, but home is home. Anybody feel like me? Awesome. Is there anyone at your home that's missing you right now, even if it's just a friend? Or like, when are you coming home? I understand that. I want to let you know that I am Shirley Williams. I work with Kinship, which is the Adoption and Foster Care Exchange for the state of North Carolina in the Department of Health and Human Services. Many people have given a lot of background. I've done investigations in home services, foster care, foster home licensing, and I've been with the division for about 3 years. I get a little extra compassion today because I'm last. And I had to hear from all of these awesome individuals that have really just brought me in and really helped me out and encouraged me, and I am so appreciative because I need it. I've been with a lot of leaders on these few days as well, and I've really just grown. I don't say much, but I listen and I just grab in so I can use as well later. So I want to thank you for that. Before I do my thank yous later, I just want to give you a little nugget that if you do not take the 10 minutes to ask questions, we can go home 10 minutes early. That works? Just a small nugget. So, as we begin, I completed my action research project on KinGAP, which is North Carolina's Kinship Guardianship Assistance Program. This topic was chosen as a result of the need for alternative options for youth in foster care who had a plan for adoption, but they were not moving forward. So today I'm going to give you an overview of what my project consists of. We're going to go through data and the North Carolina's Guardianship Program. We're going to overview 2 projects, one that was built, that was the foundation of the project that I currently worked on. We're also going to go through the implementation, barriers, strategies, emerging findings, and the results, as well as my innovative ideas based off the project. So let's take a look. This slide has been updated from the books with more current numbers, so they'll be different if you're looking in the book. So just pay attention to the screen. Based on the data collected in North Carolina, this is North Carolina's youth and foster care. The blue represents all youth ages 0 to 17. The green represents youth ages 13 to 17. You can tell that as of those youth, 2,734 of those youth are between the ages of 13 to 17. You can also see that based just off the years that things are increasing and that the number of youth 13 to 17 have remained around that 2,500 or so mark, which is about 25 to 30% of the youth that are in care. Now here's some more data that's going to help me to identify why, when I was discussing with my mentor, Kinship Guardianship Assistance Program became just so important. If we look at this chart, we can see this is for ages 14 to 17, and it shows the number of youth that exited out of care to adoption versus aging out of care. Where do you see that? These are some big numbers. If you pay attention to even just 2018, 2019, where we're at now, 79 adopted, 440 aging out of care. Everyone that has come before me has already built the story of why this is not good. Let me give you some more data on this. Let's look at the first table. It specifically is looking at youth 14 and over who were waiting for adoption the first day of the fiscal year of 2016. The total number of waiting on that first day was 311. By the end of the fiscal year of 2018, by the end of that year, 101 had been adopted, but 98 also aged out. 56 by the end of that fiscal year were still in care. If you want me to make you just take your breath even further, out of those 311, 108, we're looking at the table below, 180 of those youth had already been in care 3 or more years. Out of that 311. Out of the 180 kids that have been in care, 40 of those were ones that were adopted. 71 of those aged out. And 3 or more years, 32 are still in care. This information, as you can imagine, made me ask myself, if we provided workers, this is my KinGAP. This is different from the PICO I had. But if a child's worker was provided the information and resources regarding the awareness of North Carolina's Kinship Care and Guardianship Assistance Program, and if they were aware and they offered this information to the youth and the family and the resources that would be available to them, would then the perspective of permanency change and contribute to that decrease of the number of youth considering aging out, as well as the ones that are lingering in care? How do I plan to do this? Glad you asked. My methodology to this. Of course, I had to scope the change, and my mentor allowed me to participate in a work group that's called the Harvey Project. It's an existing work group that really will set the foundation for what you will hear about my project. I knew I needed to engage leadership, so I used our diligent recruitment and retention to include efforts to recruit and support kinship families, as well as customer service. I knew I would have to establish change and make sure that our counties felt supported. So we provided technical assistance, we provided customer service back to them, as well as just letting them know that they were supported. We partnered with other agencies and provided coaching, because to give something, you have to know that you are also supported. My first stop to do this was Say So. In North Carolina, we have a state-wide association of youth 14 to 24 who are or have been in out-of-home care in North Carolina. This association is called Say So, which stands for Strong, Able Youth Speaking Out. And we gained a lot of input from them and feedback concerning our initiatives, policies, and practices of changes. Let's talk about guardianship. This came out of Fostering Connections to Success, an Increase in Adoptions Act in 2008. As you notice that in December 2018, there were 35 states participating in the program, as well as DC and 11 tribes. We received support from North Carolina's General Assembly to implement the program in North Carolina, which was done on January 1st, 2017. However, since the implementation, North Carolina was seeing low utilization of the program. We believe that this is because of the lack of awareness as well as barriers kinship providers face to become licensed. And license is required to receive these benefits. What is KinGAP in North Carolina? This is when a child or youth's best interests are to stay connected to their birth parents and extended family. Of course, KinGAP is a benefit program that provides monthly cash payments to relatives committed to providing care. This will include foster parents. But notice how North Carolina defines family. We feel that kinship is about relationship and not necessarily blood relations, which gives youth opportunity to achieve permanence with not only relatives, but as far as neighbors, teachers, friends, and others. To be eligible for KinGAP benefits, the court has to have ruled that reunification and adoption is not it. It's not working at that time. The youth has to be 14 years of age at least. And has had to have been in that license home for at least 6 months. The relatives are required to become licensed as well, so you can understand this. When I mentioned that the relatives have to become licensed, then once they're licensed, although the youth have already been in their home, must be licensed for 6 months before we can even move forward. We know the benefits of KinGAP in North Carolina. It provides financial assistance. It prevents that youth from remaining in foster care, and it promotes connections. We don't have to terminate parental rights, and we know that that's one of the concerns of a lot of youth and family. It increases stability and that cultural identity as well, and community connections. By focusing on KinGAP in North Carolina, it was anticipated that increasing KinGAP awareness in the community, and increasing resources for families, and increasing child-specific recruitment would then yield a decrease to the number of days legally free youth remain in foster care, and will decrease the number of youth that possibly are aging out of care. Again, as I mentioned, I had the honor of joining the Harvey Project, which was a project that was already going on. It was already in progress. This project was led by UNC School of Social Work and the guardianship expert, Dr. Mark Testa, in partnership with North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Children's Home Society of North Carolina. The purpose of the Harvey Project was to identify these barriers that we have seen and find different ways of licensing. They have been developing strategies to overcome these barriers, as well as increasing the number of existing foster care to guardianship receiving these services. I use their project as a way to build my foundation for my project, because sitting on the group, it looks like this is working. Of course, it's in its first trimester. And I say that because I may be feeling a few flutters, but it's not all the way in to know just all the results. So this is what the Harvey Project and Dr. Mark Testa and his group are doing. They were participating in the intervention. So they were able to offer resources to 4 counties, and we'll see those later. And so from sitting in that team and talking with my mentor, saying, great, they're piloting in 4 counties. But what happens to everyone else? While this is going on, there's still youth in care. There's still families awaiting additional support. So what I'll do is I'll offer whatever supports I can stretch to offer and touch them a little more to make sure that families are aware that we're here and that we have things in place. So they offered a tailored licensing program. They were able to offer financial assistance and child care. I was not, unfortunately, able to offer those, but I could offer awareness. I could offer support and offer this KinGAP information that you should have at your tables. If you look in the blue, I wanted my 7 counties to get the same thing. I wanted to improve perception, improve knowledge, and improve awareness. Because I was figuring that if we do this, we could also improve the utilization and improve the well-being of children. And that would in turn improve placement stability. So I could not do everything, but I was not going to stand around and not do anything. Again, their project consists of 4 piloting counties. To let you know, North Carolina is state supervised and county administered. We were staffed at 4 consultants as well as myself, and we cover 100 counties. And now we're 2 consultants at 50 counties each. The counties that I use, you may ask, how did I choose these counties? I was choosing a wide range. Not necessarily any geographical range, but wanting to make sure that I included big counties, small counties, just based off the number of children that had already been registered through us and knowing that their plan was adoption and they had not been moving forward after 12 months. So what the Harvey Project was doing is that they're providing the counties, they want to get the county input and the county's help with recruiting families, as well as the new curriculum that carry for your own training. We know that this is important because as in foster home licensing, we sit in class and you have families that are providing this kinship, and you have families that don't have much knowledge yet or may not have, and some of the comments and the different things that are said can be offensive and hurtful when you have family members in the class, as well as their different needs that the family may have. So they were offering the caring for your own curriculum in their pilot counties. I wasn't able to do that, but it didn't stop me. They were also collecting data because based off these numbers, it would be able to provide them with information to better help and serve families. So why not? Again, this is what I was doing. I found the youth that were 14 and over with that plan that had been registered through us, and I provided them with the same information. Now it begins. Transformation. What was I gonna do with this? In April, I was able to join the Harvey Project. I was able to select counties that I would work with. I also requested that we have an article published in our Fostering Care, our Fostering Perspectives newsletter that I'll talk about later. And this would, although I'm touching 7 counties, it would make it that every county would have some of this information. I developed and sent out a survey with Shirley's help because I knew that this survey would help set a foundation for what needed to be done. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to find out from the workers, the frontline staff, what was working, who was working with youth, how was communication coming about? Because this communication was available. Why did they not have it? And what information would they need in order for me to support them, as well as for them to feel comfortable about sharing this information with families? So in May, we held, which was awesome, we held our first annual Child Welfare Summit. Guess who that included? That included Dr. Mark Testa and his team. And they discussed the Harvey Project themselves. In all 100 counties, someone from all 100 counties was there to participate. Everyone would hear about the Harvey Project and what was going on. They would hear about KinGAP and what services could be offered through the program. This was awesome because we realized many did not know, and many wanted that pilot program in their county. The Fostering Perspective newsletter, you should have, it may be a copy going around, but the article is published. The KinGAP article that I was able to write, this goes to agencies, to child welfare workers, adoptive, foster, and family parents, guardianship parents. Kinship families, I'm sorry. It's sent out in May and in November, so it made it just in time. Again, I used the Harvey material to send out to those different counties to make them aware. And I was available by phone because although you send information, I need more understanding so I can better understand to tell youth and families. In June, it began to get real warm in my project as well as outside. I began to research ways to reach these youth. I dibbled and dabbled in everybody's state because I wanted to see what you all were doing to see if this would help work for North Carolina. I was able to participate in that webinar of diligent recruitment and retention that we used to help to support kinship families. July, it was burning up. Those surveys that I sent out, that information I sent out, I want to know, did you understand it? Did you receive it? Have you shared it? Not only with families, but with peers and coworkers in the community. I also was able to partner with Say So, because I wanted feedback on KinGAP material that I had created for youth. In a way of, I work with a lot of youth just in general. Was it too wordy? Was it colorful? Was it what they needed? So that they understand. And that's what I just talked about. I was ahead of myself. August, now we're here. One of the major things in August that I was able to participate in as we continue to finalize things was the advisory team that's made up of birth parents, kinship, foster, and adoptive parents. To get their feedback, we use them also to help with awareness. These are some of the things that they love. They love the experience of KinGAP. They thought that it was more than time for this to take place. And they loved being considered as a partner and wanted to know what ways can they help. And I was so glad they asked. Barriers that I faced while doing this project. Some of the barriers was just turnaround time for approval. Everybody has a process. Late responses, because we have so many moving parts. I heard people talking about different changes. The youth and family feedback, because I'm waiting from the worker to get that. I didn't seek it out myself. And the delay in the youth involvement in this project. We're still working towards things. Things that I come up with that's probably things that you all, also the culture of an agency, how communication is done, their workload. The Kin family curriculum is not offered everywhere, so how do we get these families licensed? There were time barriers. We said that the family had to become licensed, the child had to be in the home, but how about if the county's not offering a class? Policies, interpretations within the agencies, and they didn't know where waivers could be given. The importance of conducting those permanency planning reviews and making sure you go back and ask again. Make sure you're understanding the whys or the no's. And support in general as well as educational material. Social workers needed to become familiar with KinGAP in order to share it. The results. As a result of my action research, KinGAP Exploration Project, I found that increasing social workers' understanding of KinGAP, improving communication, and having support and awareness, it helps to eliminate barriers and increase the knowledge of KinGAP and helps engage the families. It's also there for judges and GALs and private agencies to be aware of to make sure that we're all sharing. The number of youth, since the implementation doesn't work, it's still a baby. I'm still carrying it. It's in its first trimester. But I do want to share this information that I found out from people that do data and understand data. In April 2019, let me go back and say this first of all. After the first year of implementation, we only had 22 youth and families that were receiving this benefit. Only 22 for 1 year. In 2017, that was 2017. From April to this July, it has increased to 49 people additional. So that shows progress. Is the baby born? No, but it's definitely kicking. Here's some of North Carolina's permanency initiatives. And as we move forward, we want to make sure that counties as well as ourselves are understanding this data, that we're partnering with others, and that we're able to provide training to kinship that really benefits them, as well as trauma-focused training before they feel it's needed. My innovative ideas. Be scared. No. From this project, I felt like if we had webinar trainings, everyone can't sit down in a classroom, in a building. So let's offer what we can, how we can reach them. Email blast. These people are saying, I'm interested. They have a cell phone. May we have your number? Because when it's a class, I want to make sure that you know what's going on out there. Creating YouTube videos. Yes! My youth would love this. Also, reconsideration of the age of eligibility for KinGAP, and a state hotline for youth to ask questions. I've been getting more in of where's my classroom, someone in my classroom, but giving them their hotline, knowing that it's available for them to ask questions that they may not want to ask their social worker. Yeah? Presentations, but not trainings. Enrichment. I like that. Enrichment resources. Need to change that. To not only families, but to youth. And doing additional child-specific recruitment. Going the extra mile. Thinking outside the box. That's what's needed. Remember I asked you if you were ready to go home? Remember I asked you if anyone missed you?
Yes.
What is permanence? This came straight from a youth perspective. Permanence is not a place. Permanence is a state of mind, not a placement. Permanence is having the feeling that you are connected and there's someone in the middle that you can call collect. But check this one out. Or someone who misses you when you don't show up. Thank you.